Howdy, it's Jim Arado, and this, I believe I took this video in very early March 2022. We're in Greeneville, Tennessee, a town that I just love this town. Lots of history here, lots of Civil War and presidential history in a very small, easy to get around, just wonderful little town. Anyway, I wanted to put up a quick video. I'm going to put up some other videos of some of the President Andrew Johnson sites and some of the other sites around this town. But we did a little day trip. Yeah, there's a statue of Andrew Johnson. We did a little trip here not too long ago. We visited all of the National Park managed Andrew Johnson sites. And this is the early home, the Andrew Johnson home. We're going to walk through it and just look at some of the exhibits set up. There's also a bigger home that Andrew Johnson moved into later, but this is the smaller, earlier home that you can kind of do a self-guided tour of, even though there's not a whole lot of there's not a lot to see other than just kind of display placards and things like that. But it's a cute little home. It's right beside the visitor center, and then his tailor shop is also inside of the visitor center. You can also visit his grave, and you can also visit, like I said, the larger home. But this is just kind of a smaller, earlier home that's really cute and, something to see while you're there. I wanted to read a couple of the information displays. And one of the historic markers notes about this house: Andrew Johnson and his family lived in this two-story brick house sometime in the 1830s until 1851. During these years, Johnson's life changed drastically as he ventured from the tailoring trade into politics. After being elected alderman of Greeneville, he became mayor. From then on, his rise was steady to state representative, state senator, and United States representative. In 1853, he was elected governor of Tennessee and was sent to the U.S. Senate in 1857. It mentions about the cellar. The cellar in this early home may have been used as a kitchen. Note how the house was built over a limestone outcrop and the fireplace in the southeast wall. For visitor safety, the cellar remains closed. The early home today exhibits inside this early home explore the years and events prior to Johnson's presidency. These include early family life and history, Johnson's apprenticeship and move to Greeneville, and his political career prior to his presidency. And I think Johnson is a very underrated president. He pretty much took over after the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. Arguably the most popular president in history, and right after the Civil War. And he was from the southern state of Tennessee. Yeah, he was very much in a no-win situation. And I think he gets a bad rap that he really doesn't deserve. Anyway, this here in Greeneville, they have several sites that I mentioned before associated with President Johnson. Beautiful town, lots of history. At the National Park Visitor Center, they do have a junior ranger program, as all national parks do, but they've also got an adult version of that. I think it was the senior ranger program or citizen ranger program. We actually completed that. It was a lot of fun. The answers are spread out among the sites in town, and you get a really cool patch at the end of that. It was totally worth it just for the patch. I love patches from historic sites and national parks. Also, I did notice they do give away, I forget what you have to do to get them. You might have to complete one of the ranger programs, but they did give us a set of trading cards. And a couple of the cards had pictures and information about some of the slaves that Johnson owned. And I thought that was, I was glad to see that representation in the trading card set. And obviously, as you go through this early house, there's a lot of information. There was a marker out front also about the slaves. And let me read a little bit of that marker real quick just because I think it's interesting. Andrew Johnson purchased his first slave, Dolly, in 1842 while living in the house in front of you. 14-year-old Dolly was scheduled to be sold at auction when, according to her son, William Johnson, she approached Andrew Johnson and asked him to buy her. The bill of sale, right, is for Dolly's 12-year-old brother Sam, whom Andrew Johnson also bought. Dolly, her brother Sam, and Johnson's other slaves worked in and around this house, doing the family's cooking, cleaning, and other domestic chores. Johnson believed in gradual freedom for slaves. According to local tradition, Johnson freed his slaves on August 8, 1863. In 1864, as Tennessee's military governor, Johnson proclaimed freedom for all enslaved men in Tennessee a year before slavery was formally abolished by the 13th Amendment to the Constitution. And directly across the street from that early home and in the visitor center over there is a replica of Andrew Johnson's birthplace. It's small. It's there. It's something kind of neat to look at. A little bit of a bonus round. If you're here, check it out. But it's probably one of the lesser exciting things to see at this national park unit. But we walked in and checked it out. And again, Greeneville, Tennessee is just one of my favorite little towns. There's the General Morgan Inn, very historic, walking distance from the national park unit. There's one of the churches actually had a cannonball fired into it during the Civil War. That hole is still preserved, and there's still a cannonball in the wall. They actually took out the original. I don't know what happened to it, but they did replace it with another cannonball. But you can go look at that, and this is just a beautiful little town that I can't get enough of. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that look at the early Andrew Johnson home in Greeneville, Tennessee.